This is another mini review of iPhone applications. As I've stated previously on a couple of previous ones I've done on both Press Reader, which is this one here for reading newspapers on your iPad, and for Zinio for reading magazines on your iPad. I'm just doing a bit of a focus on some of the specific applications because it's really the apps that give this power, that really make this a compelling device that that allows you to do so many different things on the one slim, portable, long-lasting device such as the iPad. So I'm going to do a little bit of a run through of X-Plane, which is this one down here, and I've always been a bit of a fan of flight simulators over the years. I can say that I'm no expert in flying them. It takes actually many years of real hardcore practice if you want to become good at a flight simulator, because these are like, you know, real planes. A lot of the characteristics and the aeronautics and all the configurations and the settings in terms of wind and various other things that you can do, weather conditions, is quite realistic. So they're certainly more than just a sort of game. They are very, you know, realistic in all senses of the word. So I've played on and off with simulators over the year. I've had a bit of fun, and X-Plane was actually probably the real big simulator that's been out for the iPhone for probably since the iPhone was launched. They were sort of out early in the piece with an excellent flight simulator for such a small compact product. They've now released one for the iPad, and I'll just start it up here. Now this by default is in the sort of landscape orientation, obviously, because it's probably better suited for the perspective of the viewing window of the aircraft. But it's just a fun application to sort of while away the hours, and it's that much more interesting now that it's on a decent sized screen. While it's still great fun little portable game to play on the iPad, you certainly have more real estate now with the full iPad version. So we go into settings here, and again, this is probably, because it's an earlier release for the iPad, I'm sure they'll be adding a lot more features and functionality over time, but this gives you a bit of an idea. You can set some of the parameters here. You can, this allows you to adjust some of the flight characteristics. You've got weather adjustments, time of day. You just choose these different little windows here. You've got the plane. Now they're obviously using some of the sort of features here of the iPad now. The bigger screen a little bit better in terms of the way you can flick through the planes here. A little bit like the iTunes, the music library. A number of these planes are sort of coming soon, sort of flashing in the corner up here in text. But so obviously they're still developing, adding. But I might just choose the one of the larger aircraft here. I'll choose the 777. Nice Boeing, and as you can see, you can also flick through the different cities here, and I'll maybe just stick back at New York there, leave it where it was, and we choose a map, and we've obviously can sort of choose where we want to take off from, whether we want to have a random flight up here, return to our flight, or go on to a final approach. I might actually just choose a final approach here. And as you can see, I'm going to have to pick it up now because I don't want to crash into the ground. And we can just see our runway. We'll just bring this a little bit closer. And it's a bit tricky holding this while doing this thing. We're trying to get a decent view on the camera here, but I'll try to give you a bit of a view here. We just see the runway to the left here, and I'll just drop the gear down. I'll actually put the brakes on now just in case, just to be preparing. I'm going to drop the accelerator down a little bit, and I'll drop the flaps down a tad, and we've got the runway just sort of to the centre of the screen there. We can just see a bit of a red light ahead, and whoops, actually I'll just get that bit in view a little bit better there. And getting sort of close now. So you can certainly see the instrument cluster a lot easier now on the iPad version, because obviously you've got this extra real estate. It's certainly a lot easier now to really make use of the instrument controls, although I'm not really doing a huge amount of sophisticated flying here, other than just attempting to very roughly land this Boeing 777 onto the runway successfully. But as you can see, it's quite a nice little application, and we just landed now, and I'll just flick the flaps all the way down and the accelerator off, and if I tap the screen, so we've just about come to a stop now on the runway. If I tap, I can actually see the plane here, and I can sort of spin it around and see where I've come from. I can see how much runway I've got left. I actually probably didn't do too badly there. It probably wasn't the most smooth landing, but I've at least got a decent amount of runway, and you can zoom quite far out actually, and really get a big perspective view of where your plane is and where you've come from. And you can also see the controls up here for trim and the throttle, the gear and brake down the bottom here, and on the other side over here I've got the speed brake and the flaps. So anyway, that's just a quick review of the X-Plane for the iPad. More of just a bit of a show and tell.